Building an ambassador or an influencer program can be an effective way to acquire and retain new customers. And while many companies use those terms interchangeably, they actually mean very different things. So before you build your campaign, let's discuss what the differences and similarities are in each of these positions. So when you begin to reach out to influencers or ambassadors, you make sure that you're using the correct terminology and the correct program details so that they understand what is expected of them and what they can expect in return from you. So today I want to talk to you about what is the difference between an influencer and an ambassador. But before we get started, let me introduce myself. My name is Stephanie Lahart, and I help businesses turn online conversations into real-world customers. If you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe to my channel and hit that little notification bell so you'll know when my next video goes live. Now, as I mentioned before, some companies use these terms interchangeably, ambassador and influencer. But they do represent two very different relationships that a person can have with your business. So before you enter into either, it's best to be clear about what they mean and what the expectations are and how to make your program a success. So let's start with a little definition. An ambassador is essentially a cheerleader of your brand. They use your product, they know about your service, they've been talking about it without having to be asked by you, and maybe they've already done some kind of promotion for you without there being a specific relationship between them and your brand. They're really just fans of your product or your brand or your service, and they want to share your product or your service because they truly want your business to succeed. Like I said, they're kind of like your cheerleaders. And generally, ambassadors will be experts at your brand. They know it inside and out. They've been talking about it, they've been using it, they've been telling their friends about it, and they're promoting your products by word of mouth. And these ambassadors generally aren't celebrities, and they might not even have a huge league of followers. You could almost call them your super fans. But what makes an ambassador different than simply a fan is that they're usually authorities within their field and in the field that your brand serves. Like, for example, a fitness instructor would be a great brand ambassador for someone like Lululemon, and someone like an accountant might make an awesome ambassador for a product like QuickBooks. Again, it's products and services that they're experts on and they already utilize in their field. Now, another great thing about working with an ambassador is generally they'll want to have an ongoing relationship with your brand, which means this extends just beyond like a traditional advertising contract or a paid per post kind of situation. Again, like I said, they're genuinely interested in your brand or your business succeeding, and your product is something that they not only utilize, that they want to recommend to their followers. So again, it's going to be an ongoing kind of thing, and they might talk about you in their posts or their videos, or even at live events. And a lot of times, your brand ambassadors will actually create content for you for free. Because again, remember, they're an authority in their space, and they're truly interested in bringing products and services to their followers that are going to provide value to them. So for the most part, your brand ambassadors are going to be the people that are genuinely using your service and are interested in promoting it to their followers because they know their followers will reap similar benefits from it. And generally within the ambassador field, they might receive some kind of monetary compensation or access to free products or beta products that you have yet to roll out that they could be testers on. You can think of your brand ambassador as your informal and extremely cost-effective spokesperson. So then on the other side, we have the influencer. The influencer is genuinely somebody with a substantial social media following and a substantial social media reputation. And an influencer will promote your product, but not so much in a word-of-mouth way, but more in a show and tell kind of way, where they will show their audience how they utilize it in their own lives. Now, your influencer could be a fan of your product, but it could also be an influencer that you simply reached out to because it's someone in the space that you would like to serve. And maybe you're reaching out to them as the first time they've ever heard about your product. So then there's a whole process of educating them about what it's about, why it would be valuable, and then the influencer would decide, is this something that I would feel comfortable actually then promoting to my audience? Influencers are very protective of their audience. So they're not going to be interested in promoting things that they don't understand, like, or support. More than likely, your interaction with the influencer is going to be limited. It's not going to be an ongoing relationship. And you're most likely going to contract them per post or per video. So it could essentially be a one-shot kind of deal, just depending on the arrangement. Influencers, for the most part, have built their reputation on a particular topic. So someone like a makeup influencer would be approached by a makeup brand. And then once you introduce your products to the influencer and they try them out and see if it is something that they like and would recommend, then you can make the arrangement about what that social media post would look like. However, remember, the content is going to be up to them. Both ambassadors and influencers are going to want to retain creative control of whatever kind of social media posting that they will be doing for your business. An influencer program will entail some kind of monetary or product compensation. And remember, the exchange is about getting your product or your service in front of their audience. So if you want to break it down in a side-by-side example, brand ambassadors will generally promote your product by word of mouth, whereas influencers will promote your product by a show and tell. Brand ambassadors will generally have a longer-term relationship with you, following more through the life cycle of your business rather than a specific product, whereas an influencer might be engaged specifically for one product at one time, for a contracted period of time. And in both programs, ambassador and influencer, there is some kind of compensation that has to go on. This can vary greatly depending on who you're working with, but you should be prepared to either supply products, services, or some kind of monetary compensation for either of them. Now, the numbers will vary greatly depending on who you're working with, so make sure that you're reaching out to a brand ambassador or an influencer that is within your budget and within the audience that you truly want to reach. And the goals of working with an ambassador or an influencer are the same. You want them to share your product or service with their audience in order to gain new customers. So whichever you choose to work with, whether it's a brand ambassador or an influencer, you want to make sure that you're approaching it as a business relationship and that you have a contract, a clearly defined set of goals, a clearly defined set of expectations, a timeline, the exact compensation that will be provided, and any other information about your brand that you think would be helpful to them in order to promote their message. And the end goal of working with brand ambassadors or influencers is to help promote trust in your product with potential new customers. Have you already worked with brand ambassadors or influencers in your business? Let me know in the comments. I hope you found this video helpful. Please feel free to share it with a friend. And of course, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you'll know when my next video goes live. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.